City-based organization called CIVIC Bangalore organized its think tank meeting at Shikshakara Sadana this afternoon in the city. The aim of the meeting was to bridge the gap between the government agencies and the private agencies involved in Greater Bangalore. The meeting was convened by social activist Kathyani Chamaraj in Bangalore, intellectuals from various walks of life from across the city.
It's used by a few numbers of enlightened people and it pointed out to India's record in the constitution making or in legal provisions and so on and so forth. So, I don't agree with land as of today because I think Indian laws are typically written in a verbose manner with plenty of rhetoric and they are poorly implemented, but they are badly written. And going by the evidence of this draft bill, I think that land is wrong. At least certainly he is not being right about how laws have been written in the past decade in this country. Now there are certain design elements in the current draft of this law with which I concur and I appreciate. And I will come to that at a later point, but the overall feeling that I get is one of disappointment. This is because if the draft, if it becomes law, as Kathyani said, will leave both the letter and the spirit of the 74th Amendment to the Constitution well and truly killed and buried. I am amazed at who has come up with this draft, honestly. There can only be two conclusions and both of them are sinister, which I can draw. First, that those who drafted this document have been completely unaware of the existence of the 74th Amendment. Or second, they were well aware of it and went ahead with a cold-blooded intention of subverting the 74th Amendment. Now, why has this happened? And what are the inherent contradictions that underlie this very sly approach at urban centralization by these people? And yet the BDA is mentioned as an ex officio member. The fate of the 15 other planning authorities, the various IAPAs, every alphabet in the is covered by some BIAPA, CIAPA, NIAPA, PIAPA, Yeshto IAPAs in it. Ella kade. All over Bangalore there are these IAPAs. Now all these IAPAs also I suppose will continue. If the BDA continues, all the planning authorities that are surrounding Bangalore will also continue. Now what about the constitutionally mandated Metropolitan Planning Committee, which the government has been forced to constitute because of a court directive, right? Given that the court had no choice but to issue it because somebody went in a PIL to the High Court. It says there shall be a Metropolitan Planning Committee ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಹೌದು, ಶಾಲ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ
that ought to be happening. Those of us on this side of the table, and you know what governance is, how governance should be carried on, and in the context of urban local governance, we all have our views. Very unfortunately, things don't happen the way we, as citizens, as members of civil society, would like things to happen. And since there is this big bill before us, and look at the name of the bill, Greater Bangalore Restructuring Bill, so that seems rather heavy. And content-wise, if you go through the bill, you will also realize that this is trying to make a big difference the way in which we were used to being governed by our authorities. And therefore, it's an important occasion for us who have assembled here. CIVIC has taken the initiative. We are grateful to our executive trustee Kathyani, who is spearheading, apart from this, several other initiatives. So I think this is an important occasion. On my behalf, let me welcome each one of you, and let me also tell you that we would value the inputs that each one of you is going to make on this occasion. We are recording the whole thing, and wherever possible, we would try to ensure that whatever you are telling us will reach people who matter, provided of course they are willing to listen to us. The Joint Select Committee is supposed to be listening to us, hopefully whatever we tell them, with a little bit of prodding of course, they would listen to us. How much it translates into reality, we never know, but we've got to try. That's one of the strengths of our civil society. Point number two, I don't want to stand between you and Mr. Raghunandan. You know Mr. Raghunandan well, all of you know him very well. And the keynote address that he's going to give to us on this occasion is something that we would all be very eagerly listening to. In terms of time, we have started behind schedule, but I think we gave him the program 30 to 40 minutes. We'll stick to that, sir. You can take your time and tell us what you feel about the bill, and given your experience in this particular area, you can tell us what is wrong with the bill. You can tell us how this bill could perhaps be rectified to make us all happy about being governed by our authorities and whatever. So I don't want to stand between you and him. I now request Dr. T R Raghunandan to give us his...
Bangalore civil think tank had assembled here at Shikshakara Sadana. What is it all about and what are your expectations from the core group here?
So I think the idea of discussing the Greater Bangalore Governance Bill, which has been tabled by the government, it was to look at it critically and see to what extent, where are the gaps, where are the, where the civil society can also pitch in and say how to make it better or more meaningful, or what are the lacuna, what are the strengths of the bill. So I think that's the discussion that we had today. And it's a good initiative because the idea is to actually engage with the larger constituency and say that this is how we look at the bill. These are some of the changes required. These are the gaps in the bill. How these can be bridged. All that is what was discussed today.
So there was a civic think tank assembled here. Yes. What was the purpose and what is your initiative going?
Sir, we met basically to discuss the draft Greater Bangalore Governance Bill, which is now before the legislature. The legislature, because it's a big bill, comprehensive bill, it aims to redevelop Bangalore and ensure that the development of Bangalore happens in a more comprehensive and more effective way. Now that bill is currently before the Joint Select Committee of the Karnataka legislature. Now that draft bill has a few good points, but it has more what we see as points which are not going to make a big difference to reforming Bangalore's governance. So